So if somebody's sort of thinking about, they've listened to us and they're thinking, oh gosh, maybe I could do something like this, what would you say to them?
I would say absolutely do it, and don't ever look at this like a diet. This isn't a diet, and this is really about eating whole foods and working out how to eat a balanced meal. It's educational, learning how to eat a balanced meal, learning to get in touch with your body signals again. When you're grazing all day, your hormones can become out of whack and you oftentimes can't recognize hunger or fullness, and they became desensitized, I guess. So it's really educational and learning, balancing those hormones, but learning to go, oh, now I am hungry, and oh, now I am full.
Hello and welcome to the Metabolic Balance Stories podcast. This is where we share real stories and insights into the Metabolic Balance program and personalised nutrition. I'm Cherry Wells, I'm your host, and I'm delighted to welcome today a wonderful Metabolic Balance practitioner, Tammy Footit. Tammy is based in Western Sydney. And I'm just really happy to have you here. Hello, Tammy.
Hi, Sherry. How are you?
I'm good. Because you have been involved with Metabolic Balance for close to 5 years now. You came on board in 2020. Can you think back to what first drew you to looking into the program for your clinic?
We had just come out of the first lockdown, actually, and had put on a lot of weight. My husband and I both put on a lot of weight over lockdown, which happens when you can't exercise and you eat too much and drink too much. And I saw a colleague of mine who's based in Queensland, and she was doing it, and she started talking about it, and I saw a transformation in her, and she'd obviously lost weight but was glowing and radiant, and so she told me about it. And I looked into it and was like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to work in the weight loss area at all. I wanted to work in children's health initially. And then my husband looked at it and goes, no, you're going to go and do the training so you and I can both do the program. And so that's what I did. I did the training and was blown away by just the science behind it, and everything made so much sense. Because working with weight loss is hard, and all the information you learn at uni, it's hard to make sense of it, and it's hard to put it into practice. And when you do, quite often it's hit and miss. So just the science behind how it works was really amazing. And then just the results that my husband and I experienced doing it, I just started using it in practice, and I had friends and family that wanted to do it too. And that's how it happened. Yeah.
I think so often it is that personal draw, because even as professional practitioners, we do years of study. We know a lot, but also it just shows how complex human health is and individual health is, and then also really applying things to ourselves is challenging, isn't it?
For sure.
So when you, initially then, so you see it as a weight loss sort of initial program, but how do you see it today, 5 years on?
I see it as so much more than that. I see it as a healing program. I see it as a whole food, anti-inflammatory lifestyle change. And I think when I first did the training, I was quite, methodical how I did it, whereas now it's become individualized for me as a practitioner, but individualized for every client in front of me. And some people are doing it for weight loss. Some people are doing it for their gut, and it's the only thing that's worked for their gut. Other people are doing it for energy and mood, and really commonly for perimenopausal symptoms. So, and it is a real lifestyle change. And the thing that I find people love the most about it is a lifestyle change. It's not a shake program or prepackaged meals. They are learning to cook and prepare whole foods, and they're learning to, a lot of people don't or haven't enjoyed cooking in the past, and they've seen it as following complex recipes. They're learning how simple it is to prepare meals for them, and quite quickly and easily. So, and it does become a part of their lifestyle. Yeah.
It's quite interesting again, isn't it? How in our world there's a we're all busy. I mean, like time poor is quite a common thing, especially we looking after family and work and everything else. So sometimes it's that idea that the food can go to a lower priority. We'll just, oh, that'll do. It doesn't really matter what we eat. But we know that it doesn't even make any sense when you think about that. Yeah, bodies need nourishment. And so when you teach people, or when you just get people eating well, it doesn't take long for the results to really sort of come to the fore.
Yeah, and one thing that I've noticed is probably the majority of clients that I see are women who they may be at that perimenopausal stage and beyond, and they've raised children, or their children are getting older, or they've left home, and the focus has always been about running around after the kids. And so they haven't been able to prioritize themselves. And yeah, like feeding yourself a nourishing meal has, fallen to the wayside. And so it's just a perfect opportunity in their life to go, oh my gosh, I actually need to prioritize me, and I'm in perimenopause now. So I can see, things are changing and self-care is a priority. So they just see such a huge improvement when they start prioritizing themselves and prioritizing what they're putting into their mouth and nourishing their body. Yeah.
We know Metabolic Balance is a practitioner program. It's a coaching program. So people do need to have that coach to get things moving. Yes, the analysis brings up a plan that is incredible, but it's that implementation of the plan that really makes the difference. And it's the consistency. Every day we get up, we have breakfast, and it's keeping things going, isn't it? Because it's that accountability. I mean, like, I know that you're very strong on the accountability side of things. We've spoken about this before. How do you see the accountability for people?
I think the accountability is becoming more and more evident to me how important that is. So, like, I had one client say to me not long ago, I didn't realize how important it was, the accountability. I've tried so many different programs, but it's always been a DIY type thing. But doing this with you, I've had you walk alongside me every step of the way, supporting me, and knowing I've got you there to check in with has really kept me going strong and gotten me to a point where it has become a part of my everyday life. And then I've seen that firsthand recently. My husband, not long ago, well, actually, it was a little while now, he had a really bad accident. He fell 6 meters out of a tree and really badly injured himself. And it was a bit of a recovery. He put on a lot of weight. And then this year, we've tried about 5 times to get him restarted on MB. And he's just been so busy with work and work lunches. And then he said to me a few weeks ago, I think I just need a new plan. And I said, I think you do need a new plan, but I also think you need your own coach who isn't your wife. And he was a bit shocked, but he went away, thought about it and said, no, I think you're right. So I did book him in with a different coach. And I said to her, pretend I am not his wife. Pretend he's just someone who's never done MB before. And he's doing it. And he's 3 weeks into it and he's sticking to it. And sometimes I might say, because I know how I work with my clients, I might make suggestions. And he's like, no, I've got to check with my coach. So,
Great.
yeah, so I'm like, wow, like we need accountability. Like I'm seeing an exercise physiologist because I need accountability for my exercise. So, and seeing him each week is keeping me on track with my exercise program. So, yeah, just more and more I'm realizing, just through myself, my husband, all my clients, that we need support. Everyone needs support.
Yeah. I think that actually, I mean, I think I've probably said this a few times on the podcast in different episodes because I feel really strongly about this, that this idea that you can just buy a self-help book and then suddenly, or you can, generally everything to do with health, you've got to do the research. You have to, advocate for yourself, do it yourself, research yourself, and then keep yourself accountable. Actually, to be honest, that doesn't even, I think that's such a massive pressure when health is so massively important to everything else. We would never give that advice for, I don't know, rewiring your house or doing your plumbing or fixing your car. But somehow that advice, when it comes to our health, is just banded around as though do it yourself.
And even more so, with doing the wiring of your house, you don't have all this contradictory information about how to wire the house, right? Like when it comes to health and food, there is so much contradictory information. Even with science, there's so much science or studies all contradicting each other and saying, different things. And that's what I love about this program. It's not an extreme diet fad. It's whole foods. It's not low carb. It's not low fat. It's whole foods, everything you need on one plate to support yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've got no idea if there are contradicting ideas in the world of wiring your house, to be honest. But actually, that's why I don't even feel the need. I have to research it myself. I should just be able to call up a local electrician and get their opinion, and then they do it. And I think that's where I just think people. I would love people to know that they can just reach out and have some really good conversation about what their personal needs are, and then place the trust in a practitioner such as yourself to tweak things and get it right for them, to really change stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You do other stuff as well, though, don't you? So you've got a particular speciality in hypnotherapy now. I know this is something you've brought in.
Yeah, I've trained now as a clinical hypnotherapist, and I'm also now doing my master's in counseling. And I've just fallen in love with hypnotherapy and integrating it with nutrition and integrating it with MB all the time, really, really effectively. So I use it for things like, sometimes I just use it for little things like if someone has like an insane or out of control craving for sugar or craving for soft drink or something, we might just use that straight away just to get started. Other times there could be some really deep-rooted negative belief systems about self. Could even be something like nothing ever works for me, or I react to everything. So we might do a bit of hypnotherapy around that to shift those beliefs in the subconscious level. I've had one client who paid for MB and then disappeared for 5 months, and I kept following up, and then I had, about 5 months later, I'd finished my hypnotherapy training. And so I reached out and said, would you like to just start with doing some hypnotherapy to get you ready for change? And she rang me and goes, yes, because I'm not ready for change. And so we actually did 5 hypno sessions. Then she started MB and just sailed through it and loves it. So yeah, it's just such a great tool to use. I feel like both of them are just such amazing tools, metabolic balance and hypnotherapy, healing the body and the mind together.
Yeah. Bring it into alignment, isn't it, really? So that, because it's so interesting how the mindset, one of the things I often say is whatever we think, we're absolutely 100% right, aren't we? Because if we think something's going to be hard or we think something's going to be easy, then typically we're often kind of right because we approach it with that kind of mindset. We can approach it with the idea, yeah, I can do this. And then you find the solutions and you find ways of around things. But like you say, if somebody has this idea, change is too hard. Well, then you don't even start. You don't even get going.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Joe Dispenza. He says, can I recite it word for word now? Your thoughts create feelings. Your feelings create beliefs. Those beliefs shape your identity. So change your thoughts, create new feelings, create new beliefs, and create a new identity. And it's so powerful. And I see that all the time. Yeah.
Mm. And it's practice though as well, because even though changing those thoughts, we just keep on doing so, because the negative thoughts can easily creep in again. But if you keep on going with the positive thoughts, if you keep on going, no, this is worth it. I am worth it. My health is worth this effort of making sure I get up in time to have breakfast. I do have enough time in the morning to have breakfast, then it becomes your reality.
Yes. Yeah. And I always encourage clients now to find a motto that's relevant to them. So it could be about breakfast. If breakfast has been a struggle, it could be, okay, start my day as I want it to go. Start with the right fuel for the right energy. My motto last year, I was working with a physio, I had to do exercises all night, and I struggled to do that kind of thing. And so I just had this motto, do the reps. And so I just like, okay, just get up, do the reps, do the reps. So I just encourage everyone just to find a motto that works for you. It could be, just keep swimming, like just something that you can keep saying to yourself. And it's very motivating to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's just getting your own self on side, isn't it? As opposed to this sort of negative voice that might be dragging you away from what really is in your own, in our best interests. To where we focus our attention is where we focus our energies, and then is where we get the changes happening. Yeah. So have you got any sort of cool clients that spring to mind when you think about who you've supported over the years with metabolic balance?
Oh, it's too many to talk about. So just a few that come to mind is one of them. I asked her permission before I mentioned her, and that was my mum, because she just had such amazing results with her blood pressure. And it took me a few years of doing MB before mum said, okay, I want to do a plan. And she hadn't even told me until we were, doing the paperwork for MB, but she had out of control blood pressure. And she was on 2 medications and the doctor couldn't get it under control. And she started Metabolic Balance, and within 2 weeks, her blood pressure had stabilized for the first time in a long time. And then a few weeks after that, she ended up dropping the second blood pressure medication. And then she was able she stayed on that one blood pressure medication then, but it was stable in a healthy range and not up and down. So yeah, blown away to see that. Mum was blown away.
Yeah. And blood pressure it's like so important to keep under control. It's one of those hidden deadly high blood pressure. It really, it's out of sight. You can't always tell. You really can't tell that you've got high blood pressure, but it is so dangerous if it's not kept in that nice controlled state.
Yeah, and I've got another gentleman actually who's doing it at the moment. His blood pressure had been really high. I think he was on 1 blood pressure med, but he started the program, and it wasn't a drastic drop like mum's was, but he was going and checking with the GP, and he was charting it, and the doctor looked at the chart and could just see every day that blood pressure creeping down further and further and further. And he goes, whatever it is you're doing, just keep doing it. So the doctor's pretty amazed at his results as well.
Yeah, awesome. Because it's not just that as well. It's all the other health benefits that you get alongside. But any others?
I had a beautiful client who was a real athletic style client and very, very fit, and started putting on weight
How old was this client?
in their 40s. Yeah, started putting on weight. And so I thought, maybe perimenopause, but as we got into it, as they'd been going on, they'd been increasing the exercise more and more, decreasing calories more and more. And they sat in front of me completely drained and depleted, and were quite shocked when I said, okay, we actually need to increase what you're eating and decrease your exercise, and started MB, and weight just started releasing. And she goes, I can't believe I'm eating more and exercising less and the weight's releasing. And that happens a lot. Like I've seen quite a few clients where that's happened, because the messaging out there is move more, eat less, move more, eat less. And for women especially, it really doesn't work, especially women who are stressed, which is most of us. So that cortisol really is not going to let us, and that, the more we exercise, the more we can drive up that cortisol if we're doing lots of cardio.
It's that depletion. It's almost like you're depleting the body on every level. You're depleting it in nourishment, you're depleting it in energy because you are pushing yourself so hard, thinking that's the way you're going to burn fat. But that's where we do see inflammation rise up, and the weight just creeps. It's that weight creep and then you feel helpless and frustrated and no direction. I had a client who described it. So it was not a client of mine, but actually a previous podcast guest, Fleur. She only described recently that MB is when determination meets direction with MB. That's when you get the change, because she was also of a similar post-menopause, that idea of eating less, exercise more, but nothing shifting. And it was only when she had the direction with MB that things shifted for her. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah. Do you work a lot with menopause, perimenopause? Is that your...
I think they typically, women going through perimenopause, that's just such a big transition in life, isn't it? And I think that's kind of such a big wake up call for women to go, holy crap, I need to sort myself out. I need to prioritize me now. So I think I do see a lot of women around that age, but also beyond. I work with a lot of ladies who are a bit older as well, in their 70s, and they get amazing results, and they see such huge improvements in reflux and digestive issues. And usually that's the driver for bringing in those ladies, is at that age we tend to get a lot more digestive issues and see big improvements there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, with perimenopause, menopause, we just can stop feeling like ourselves. I mean, like, how you used to feel, how you used to recover from events, you knew how maybe you could shift a bit of weight and things stop working and they stop feeling like you. There's that feeling of not really feeling like yourself. And I think that's the wake up call I often see for a lot of our clients.
Yeah, I mean, we've got high stress. Sometimes women are still juggling kids and full-time work, and sometimes aging parents as well. And then we've got all those hormones starting to go all over the place. Yeah, it is a really challenging time. Yeah. So this works beautifully with just giving the right nutritional support to be able to handle those challenges and give the energy needed to get through that. But I do see a lot of men as well. Men, not as complex to work with men. I do like working with men. They get really quick results. They love it because it's just like, oh, this is so easy. I just have to follow this structure and
Plan. Yeah. And couples, I mean, do you work with couples?
I've done a few couples. Yeah, I definitely have done a few couples, probably about 4 couples I've done over the last couple of years. I find that even when they're not doing it as a couple, the partners always benefit if they're supporting them. And I encourage them, even if they're not getting their own plan, eat along with your partner. You're still going to get good results, not as good results, but you'll still get some benefit of eating whole foods, So it is great when they can both get a plan and they get equally excited. I did have one lady sign up not long ago, and her and her husband were both doing it, and he was just having the same foods as her, and then he just went, damn it, I want my own food list too. And then he rang up and goes, can you just get me my own plan? And so we got him his own plan too. And then they were excitedly comparing their plans. And yeah.
I love it. I mean, I'm such an old romantic. I just love it when, as a couple as well, the stress. I mean, we all have our own stresses. We've talked a lot about stress here today, haven't we? But stress can really alienate people from their closest partners as well, because you feel, you don't always communicate. You're exhausted. You maybe are a bit irritable, and when you start to get well together, you can see that reconnection happening and the conversations in the kitchen.
I know, when you can see both of their energy increasing, and they're both wanting to go walking together, it makes a huge difference. Yeah.
And I think as well, it's that whole, I mean, like, I'm all, you just start to kind of find each other really attractive again. It's that. So I remember there's a couple of podcasts back. I think it was Sarah. She was just sharing how, her and her husband they just really start to a really great connection once again. I'm such a romantic. I just love it. I love it.
And I definitely found that when Jeremy and I both first did it. And it was nice to, be both. He actually got him in the kitchen helping too. We were both in there weighing our foods together. And now that he's doing his plan, I'm not doing like I'm not doing metabolic balance at the moment, but I still eat my MB foods most of the time, but he's in there cooking and weighing his foods. I'm like, yes, why did I not do this 12 months ago? So yeah.
Yeah. What would you say about sort of like the long term? Like you say, you're not doing your plan closely right now, but you're still doing your food. Just so that somebody understands what that means, maybe. How would you describe that?
I would say that I'm in maintenance now. So I'm prioritizing building muscle mass now. So there are, and I find for my clients too, there's foods that just stick, foods you love, foods that you're like, like the yogurt bowl, the nuts and seeds, the goat's cheese meals. I will always eat them. And every client I have goes, I want to eat this for the rest of my life. I'm like, good. But, I'm protein combining now. One of the guidelines is to have single protein in each meal to support the digestion and absorption of those proteins. But I protein combine. And I eat foods that aren't on my food list, so certain cheeses or vegetables and that they're not, I stick to that food list in phase 2. But after I reach my goal, I'm brought in other foods. So I'm definitely having all vegetables, all fruit, all proteins, but I'm still having 3 meals per day, having, nice fasting windows most of the time. There are sometimes if I'm meeting a friend at, 10 a.m., then I'm not going to have that fasting window. Still drinking my water. Portion wise, I don't weigh my foods, but I have to say I still weigh my foods probably once a week. I might just occasionally weigh my foods, and I just have to do that because I would overeat otherwise. My portions would get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Other people, clients their portions would get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Everyone's different. And I think just, do it for me. That's just like a bit of a weekly check-in. I might weigh my portions and go, yeah, okay, I'm eating, roughly around the right amount. Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the things I always still like to weigh is my yogurt. If I don't, somehow I think I often my portion gets too small of the yogurt if I don't weigh it.
It's easier to do with the yogurt.
And it's so important to get that right protein in the morning for breakfast. So I do still do that. But yeah, you do learn to eyeball it, and of course you want to eat mindfully and chew your food. But I think one of the things that probably I like, get across is that MB is about maintenance. It is about finding that happy place that you get to. So you go through the real change time, you have the accountability with the coach, and then you get to the point, where you understand how to do it, in general most of the time, but then you can reset whenever you need to, like your husband right now. Jeremy's doing a reset, and we all need to do the odd reset every now and again.
Yeah, well, I would probably do a reset once a year.
Yeah, which makes sense. That to me makes perfect sense. It's, we all need to, like, it's like, like servicing your car. Your car gets a service, therefore we should get a service too.
I think, well, we spring clean our house, we come out of winter and we do a nice spring clean. So I like to spring clean my body as well. So do a little bit of a cleanse and a reset, and yeah.
Awesome. So if somebody's sort of thinking about, they've listened to us and they're thinking, oh gosh, maybe I could do with doing something like this, what would you say to them? What do you say to clients?
I would say absolutely do it, and don't ever look at this like a diet. This isn't a diet, and this is really about eating whole foods and working out how to eat a balanced meal. It's educational, learning how to eat a balanced meal, learning to get in touch with your body signals again. When you're grazing all day, your hormones can become out of whack and you oftentimes can't recognize hunger or fullness, and they became desensitized, I guess. So it's really educational and learning, balancing those hormones, but learning to go, oh, now I am hungry, and oh, now I am full. Learning about the importance of protein and fiber and healthy fats. So you are learning about whole healthy foods the whole way through it. Learning about yourself, even you discover things about yourself emotionally as well, and learn what drives you, what motivates you, what you enjoy. I have Recently had a client who, when she first started, she said to me, I'm a fussy eater. I'm just letting you know I'm a fussy eater. There's a lot I don't like. And there was a lot she didn't like. And we talked a lot about what to leave on the plan. And she wasn't a cook. And she said to me, she's doing amazingly. And she's like, I can't believe it. I thought I was such a fussy eater. And here I am. I'm eating yogurt, which I never would have eaten yogurt before. I'm having goat's cheese and I'm having beans and lentils and I'm enjoying it all. And so, yeah, just be curious as well and learn what you can discover about yourself.
I love that. I love the curiosity. We should always keep that curiosity about, that's where I think that's the starting point of any learning, isn't it? And if we're not curious, then how are we going to how is anything going to be different? How is anything going to change? And the direction of health can be so good when you give it the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, no one ever gets anywhere with a rigid mindset, just open your mind up and be curious.
Yeah, amazing. Cool. So you are based in Western Sydney, and do you also offer online appointments?
I do in person and online both. Yeah. And that's the same with hypno. If people wanted to do hypnotherapy alongside it, it works really effectively via Zoom too.
So people can get in touch with you. You can find your details on the Metabolic Balance .com website. And yeah, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you today, Tammy. Thank you for sharing your practice and your experience with MB. And if anybody would like to know more, yeah, please do check out the website. And you can also find Tammy on her website. What's your website? Just so that people also know.
So it's riversideholistichealth.com.au.
Yeah. So awesome. Thank you again. And we will catch up with further stories in our next podcast. So thanks for listening.